Hello and welcome to Workout Wednesday for Power BI 2024 week 37. This week we are creating a report that can switch between light mode and dark mode. So here's our goal of our finished report. Our data comes from data.world and it is a single table. So let's get started. I will get my data using the data.world connector. Select my table and open the Power Query editor. I prefer to have capital letters at the beginning of my field names, so I will do that. Okay, columns renamed. If I wanted to be very efficient, I could remove the columns I'm not using for this report, but I'm going to skip that for now. I also need a date table. I like to use the one from Gorilla BI, so I have that already copied, and I can just insert it into a blank query and make sure my start date matches my data, which goes from 2019 to 2024. The real key to this exercise is creating our colors table. So I'll show you what mine looks like. I have one row for dark mode and one row for light mode. And each column contains the hex value for the color I would like to use that will be used in my conditional formatting in the report. So I have a column for title text and regular text, and then alternate text, you'll see where I use this. And then the current year color, I have a specific color used in my slicers and a specific color used in my page background versus the shape backgrounds. And I will go ahead and click close and apply. And I'm going to make a few measures. Add a measures table. I'm going to do current year sales, and I'm just checking to make sure I've already filtered down to a single year, so I know that it's actually current year sales. That's really all the if has one value does. Otherwise, I'm just summing the sales column from the orders table. I've got prior year sales, so it's taking the same calculation as current year sales, but doing the date add going back 1 year. I have a card that shows the year-over-year change. So the percent change calculation is to take the current year sales minus the prior year sales and divide that by prior year sales. And then I have my card showing text rather than that number. So here is my text measure. I take that year-over-year change value, and I said if it's more than 5% above the prior year, or if the year-over-year percent change is more than 5%, I put a little up triangle with a space. It's a Unicode character. If it's less than negative 5%, I did a down-facing triangle. If it's between negative 5 and positive 5, I did a right-facing triangle. So I took the number, formatted it as a percent, so now it is a string, and then I concatenate my symbol, my amount, and then the text with a space YOY for year over year as my result. I need to make sure that I set my measure formats correctly. Then I'm going to do some measures for my colors. And they all follow a very similar pattern. This is the color for the alternate text. I'm just going in alphabetical order. So I get the selected mode. And I get the selected value for the particular column I'm looking at, in this case alternate text, where the mode is equal to whatever has been selected. You can actually do this without doing the calculator around it, assuming you have the filter set up correctly on your report. So I do one for alternate text, one for my current year color, one for my page background, one for my regular text, one for the shape background, one for my slicer color, and one for my title text. So that will get us started. And the first thing I'm going to do is to insert a shape. This shape is going to take up the entire screen. And this is actually what I'm using to change my background. So I need to adjust the style. I'm going to turn off the border, and then I'm going to use conditional formatting. Field value, color page background. It's going to default to light because that is what I did in my selected value. That's part of why I did that. So if we look back at my measure, if there is no selected value, because selected value will only return an answer if there's a single value returned. There can't be multiple things selected. If for some reason that comes back null, we tell it to use light mode. So that's how this works. That way you can't accidentally have both selected. I'm also going to go ahead and add the mode to my filters. And I also need to add the year to my filters. So let's go connect our tables. We'll do date to order date. And then measures and colors are disconnected tables. So here's my page background. Now I'm going to add shapes. I did rounded rectangles with 5% round corners. Again, this will be conditional formatting. Turn off my border. And that creates the shape I need. I have two other shapes, so I can copy and paste, and then I'll fix the size and position. And these are just the general areas where I'm putting my charts. This is just a nice background effect. So this will be a bit taller. And I can go there. This one will be much taller. And we'll get that aligned. And so I'm aligning it to the bottom because I have a couple things that go right above it in my report. One of those is my region selector. Fix my font there. And I need to do field value for my conditional formatting, and I'm going to use the regular text color. I kept a dark border around my region slicer and also made it have rounded corners, which is in the effects. And I went ahead and reused my shape background measure to give it a background color. My visual border has to be turned on because I want the rounded corners, but I'm going to use the same color. And I did, just to make little room, set my padding to 0 on the top and bottom around this. This just has my 4 regions. I can now add my card. It's going to have my current year sales. I'm turning off the category label, putting on the title. This one will have conditional formatting on the text. Use a field value, regular text. I'm leaving the background transparent. And no border or anything on this one. So I can resize it. get it aligned into my shape there. And I'm leaving a bit of room on the side because I'm putting another visual there. So I'm going to add another card. And this one's going to be my year-over-year change. And this time, I'm going to turn off my category label, but not put a title on it, at least not one that you can see. That can help with screen reader use if you still put the title, because it stays even though it's not shown. So we're going to make this pretty small. We'll get it aligned in there. Get rid of some of this padding. There we go. So I need to make the text, change colors, and I can test what I have so far. So here I can see I haven't gone to fix my background yet. And the background is basically off. Actually, the background is, sorry. This one I did the same color that I was using for current year. But I made it a little bit transparent. And I did include a visual border. So we'll go set that. And for this, I just picked a color. I did not have to conditionally format this part. And I set my rounded corners to quite a lot, 16, to make it a little more pill-shaped. And I need to, oh, I chose the wrong field for my text. That should be alternate text, because this has to stand out even when that card is there, which also needs its conditional formatting set. This one can be regular text. There we go. So now we have three objects that switch when I do light and dark mode. So we just have to add a couple more charts. The first one is a bar chart, and it uses current year sales and category from orders. I'll go ahead and give it a better title, current versus prior year sales by category. Something I should have done from the beginning so I don't have to keep doing this is customize my theme. My text will be Sego. I don't want any din. That's fine. My backgrounds will be transparent. There we go. Actually, I need to make that bigger, so that will be fine. We'll make it a little taller and a little wider to take up that space. Padding's all good. And of course, I need to set my conditional formatting. You might be sensing a theme here. This is regular text. My background is transparent. I don't have a border. No tooltips. I do want to format the visual and make this regular text. And make sure my categories have ample room for their labels. I will turn off the title on my x-axis as well. And here again, oops, field value, regular text. Then I'll go down to bars, and it's just using the default color of the theme right now. I will change that to conditional formatting for current year. So when it's light, it should be a little darker. I didn't use borders. I upped my space between categories just a little bit. No data labels. Now I need to add the prior year. So I used error bars for the prior year, which are in the analytics pane. And if you open up error bars, you'll see the series. There's only one series in my chart. I'm enabling it and looking for prior year sales. The relationship is absolute. Then when I go down to bar, I'm picking colors that don't have to change much, that still have good contrast, regardless of if my bar color is light or dark, because you cannot conditionally format these right now as of September 2024. Hopefully that will change in the future. So I did a gray fill color with, we'll make that a little whiter, with a black border color. And then to make it circular, we come down to markers, change it to a circle. I upped my marker size. Right now, 10 is the maximum. So that is my current versus prior year sales by category. I will do something very similar for my other chart, which is sales by month. One thing we need to check before we do that is I'm using the month name short, and I need to make sure that month name sort goes January, February, March instead of alphabetically. So setting the sort by column fixes that. So if I drag month name short into my x-axis and current year sales into my, oh, I chose the wrong chart, y-axis, there we go. I will get my chart. I need to go and format real quick. Turn off my titles. This will be regular text. Same thing for Y. Conditionally format. Turn off my title. My columns need conditional formatting as well. So this will be the same, CY color, no borders, nothing changes on layout. I do want to say current versus prior year sales by month here, and conditionally format that title to regular text. I need to add error bars. Change my markers so I have that. And then we can check one more time and see where we are at. That looks pretty good. So then we have just a couple of finishing touches. I had a title at the top and I wanted it to change, but our text boxes are not very versatile in that way. So I'm going to get the HTML content light visual and add it to my report. And it's going to go near the top right up here. Go ahead and get my shape set. So I need to add a couple of measures to use with the HTML light visual. And the first one is my report title. So I chose a specific color that was not just bright white or dark black for my title because it's a big font. And I wrote HTML concatenated with some of my measures. So the thing used in the report title, I gave it a heading 1 with the style inline instead of using CSS. So the color is whatever I've defined as my color text, which gets concatenated in here, gave it a bold font, and made it read 2024 sales report. The other measure I need just says Workout Wednesday, but it's a similar idea. So again, I get the color I'm supposed to use. I gave this one a heading 3. Same thing, inline style color defined here, and then the actual text I want to read and close my heading 3. For these two, they were pretty simple. So all I have to do is drag the measure in and I should be set. And then add another HTML content visual. Get it sized up and in the right spot. And drag my report title in. So now if I change to dark mode, it will be an off-white font and light will be a dark gray or black font. The last thing is that I needed to, well, second to last, add a legend. So I'm creating the legend since my colors change. When you use the legend in the bar chart, you don't get a legend entry for the error bars. So I'm creating my own legend using the HTML visual. So it's going to be pretty small just to accommodate one row of text. Wait, I want to go that way on that one. And just to get it to align the way that I like it, I've changed my padding a little bit. It won't have a title. And now I'm going to add a measure. So this is my legend HTML measure. You'll see a couple classes defined in here. So first I have a rectangle and then a space and then some text that says current year sales. Then a couple more spaces and they're M dash spaces, a dot, space, text, and then the actual text. This is an okay start, but this is not all we need for this one. So that'll go in values. I'm going to add another measure for the CSS that goes with it. So this is how I tell it. The circle should be gray with a black border, and the rectangle should be whatever color this turns out to be in my measure. This is just a little bit of CSS to help it. The display inline helps it stay on one line with the text. So if I add that measure as my style sheet, we get a legend. And the last piece to my solution is to create bookmarks and add a bookmark navigator. So right now, this is all good for light mode. I'll go ahead and create a bookmark. Oh, I'm going to have to redo that because I had my filters open. Update one more time. change to dark mode, make sure to close my filter pane, add a bookmark, call it dark mode, insert a button that is a bookmark navigator, and we'll drag that over to the corner. We'll make it kind of tall, but not very wide there. Not quite at the very top. I'm going to leave my padding the way it is, but I am adding a title. That says choose a viewing mode. And that font color needs to be conditionally formatted. No background, no border, no shadows, anything like that. Now we just have to format the visual. So I do want rounded corners here, and I did do a little bit different style for each mode. So in default, I'm going to make my font just a little bigger to take up more room in the button. I'm leaving the font color. The fill I'm using is a gray fill for default. And then I will add a gray border. On hover, I'm making my font just a little bigger, but the font color and the border and all that will stay the same. I'm going to do the same for press. Just make the font size a little bigger. And then selected, will have the same font size as the default, but my fill color changes so that it's very obvious to me what is selected, but the border color can stay the same. My font needs to be dark though. There we go. So if I hover over it, you'll see the font size change. Once I click it, you'll see the selected one turn a purple color. So I had to go through and make sure all my backgrounds were dark for dark mode, my fonts were light for dark mode, and that I had a lighter blue for my bars. And then if I switch to light mode, my blue is darker, my fonts are dark, my backgrounds are light. So that is how we switch colors from dark mode to light mode in a Power BI report. The main secret is that colors table and building measures off of that to using conditional formatting on different visual formatting options. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. See you at the next Workout Wednesday.